rest of season running back rankings for fantasy football. It's week 11, so what do we have? 6 weeks left of the year?
Yep, or 7.
Seven. Yeah, it's week 11 right now. What we're going to do is go through the top 24 running backs at the position that we believe is the order for the remainder of the season. We're definitely taking into account bye weeks, guys that are hurt, and I mean, those would be the two biggest things. Strength of schedule, of
easily
course.
the biggest, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the rankings. Of course, going to be up here on the screen for you. Our top, what is it? Our top
6.
Top 6. So, surprise, it's Najee Harris at number 1.
Everyone probably thought McCaffrey. But Najee Harris has a great schedule.
He does.
We looked at this, and his schedule over the last 7 games: Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, Vikings, Titans, Chiefs, and Browns. Yeah. So that's like 7, at least like top half.
The Chargers, Vikings, Chiefs alone is, I think those 3 teams are like bottom 4.
Yeah.
The Vikings might have been a little bit better now after a good game against the Chargers, but those 3 in themselves are great.
And he's been incredibly consistent too.
Yes.
Like since week 1, he had that poor week 1, and then ever since, it seems like he gets like 20 fantasy points every single week.
Yeah, and he's dealing with his efficiency's really bad running the football, so it could be better in these games, which is a scary thing to see.
Yeah, so I would be willing to trade Christian McCaffrey for Najee Harris right now. 1 for 1.
I loved making these because then I was like, okay, I know exactly what I want to do the rest of the way here, and I'm going to make trades according to these rankings.
Exactly.
Again, there are a few spots where you wouldn't do that. We'll get into those types of players later in the rankings. But at 2, Christian McCaffrey, the schedule is daunting. Being in division, you've got the Saints and the Bucs, the 2 best run defenses in the NFL. So that affects him, but ultimately he's still going to be a great
he's still
player.
Christian McCaffrey.
Regardless of matchup.
The playoff schedule is as bad as it could possibly be, though. Mm-hmm. Bills, Bucs, Saints.
Yeah.
Maybe the 3 worst teams to play against.
Yeah.
So that's tough for him. JT, though, at 3.
Yeah, JT at 3. He's been a beast this season, efficiency, tackle breaking wise. I think this is right where you'd expect to have him. I know Najee probably is surprising for people, but this is, I think, the exact spot he finishes.
Yeah, and I think ever since, I think it was about week 4, that's when he took an even bigger step up in this offense. They started using him like a true workhorse, and I have the splits here. In his last 7 games, he averages 26 PPR fantasy points, 18 rushing attempts, 109 rushing yards, 1.29 rushing touchdowns per game. Yeah. So he's been dominant.
His success makes the entire offense better. Like makes Carson Wentz better. It just helps open up the entire playbook. Holy.
Yeah, and he does have a bye in week 14, which is the one thing that I'm a little worried about because that could be a big week for you. Maybe the week you need to get into the playoffs. So
yeah, exactly. Austin Eckler at 4.
Yeah, I mean he's been pretty consistent this year. He I think the past couple of weeks has been a little bit down. Usually he's around the 20-point mark, but he's been a little bit lower. To me, I'm not worried at all. He's going to be involved in the passing game. This offense, it hasn't been as good as I thought it might be, but I think they can turn it around. The schedule is kind of average, so I like Austin Eckler.
Yeah, it's an okay schedule. The Chiefs are mixed in there, but the team has a pretty easy schedule the next 4 weeks, or even really 6 of the next 7 weeks. The opponents, 6 of the last 7 weeks, the opponents are teams that I think the Chargers should be able to take care of. So that helps in terms of game script.
Number 5, we have Dalvin Cook. The reason he's a little bit lower is because, to me at least, is a stretch from week 14 to 16 where he plays 3 tough teams. He's got the Steelers, the Bears, and the Rams.
Yeah.
I think Dalvin Cook has been underperforming. Like, he's had so many times where he could have scored a touchdown, multiple touchdowns, and it just didn't work. Yeah. So I could easily see him having an explosive end to the season. The schedule's the only reason is a little bit lower. Yeah,
I think he's been underperforming fantasy-wise, of course, but if you look at his numbers, he's still like a tackle breaker. He's still been playing pretty well. Yeah. Flipping over to 6 now with Kamara, we do expect he's going to be back from injury this week.
That's the big thing.
But again, he's the focal point of the offense, and I'm pretty sure so far this season, is he maybe the third? Well, I guess with him having the game off, he might be down. But points per game wise, I think he's still like top 4.
Yeah, he's still up there. He's so involved in the passing game. They have no weapons at receiver, so they need him. And he's going to continue being Alvin Kamara as long as he's healthy. And I don't think it's that bad of an injury. I'm pretty sure, was it his knee or was it? I think whatever it was, he might have sustained it in practice or something, but it didn't seem that bad.
It didn't seem bad. And then later in the week, it was looking like Ingram was going to get the start. So DeAndre Swift at 7. I think you have a case here for him to be all the way up at 5. Yeah. With Dan Campbell calling plays, he could have a ridiculous amount of touches the rest of the way if what continues from last week goes through the rest of the season. Now, they might not be in as many games where they're close, basically, that he can be able to run the ball at the insane volume it was last week. But Dan Campbell being the play caller certainly helps him. So that 7 is a good spot.
I like his playoff schedule too. He's got the Cardinals, Falcons, and Seahawks. So that's 3 matchups.
Yeah,
not worried about any of them at all. I mean, Jamal Williams will probably be back by then.
Yep.
But Swift is so involved in the passing game.
That is definitely a good note. Is that I think the thing to not have him in the top 5 is that if Williams is there, does he give Williams some of that? Because they're running the ball so much, they want to take that not give him 33 carries a game.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll give some to Williams.
Yeah.
At 8, Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys look great. Zeke looks solid. Pollard really isn't. He's kind of taken a little bit more of a backseat from the early parts of the season too, and Zeke's been really good coming off a huge game against the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like this was going to be more of a split at the start of the year, but Zeke has started to take more and more every week.
Yeah.
And the rushing, the offensive line is just incredible. I think they have the best rushing graded offensive line that is. And the schedule looks really good too. He's got the Chiefs, Raiders, Saints is hard, but then football team, Giants, football team, Cardinals. So 6 out of 7 great matchups for Zeke down the stretch.
Yeah, Zeke's in a good spot. Chubb at 9. Yeah, he missed last week for the Browns. He's the most efficient running back in the NFL right now. He's averaging 6 yards per carry, just like he did last season. This year he was still finding the end zone pretty much just as much as last year, which is good. And I think if he's back on the field, he's going to continue to be efficient. So he's got to be inside the top 10.
Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen with Kareem Hunt yet. He's still on IR. The calf injury. Apparently, he's trending towards being back. I don't know if he'll be back this week though.
Back at practice though.
Yeah,
right?
back at practice.
Yeah.
Back at practice.
So that could still leave him a week or maybe 2 until he's back on the field in games.
Yeah, and one factor we did have to move him a little bit down was he does still have his bye week. I think maybe it's week 14. It's either 13 or 14. So another one of those really important weeks for a playoff push.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely consideration for a lot of people.
Yeah.
David Montgomery is in at 10. I love his schedule the rest of the way. It's really, really solid. And he came back from the injury, immediately assumed his role. We're not worried about Khalil Herbert.
Yep.
Montgomery's just got his job back, and I think he's going to be a great player the rest of the way. Could potentially be a league winner for people.
Yeah, it seems like whoever has that lead running back role in this offense is just really good. They take on most of the carries. And Montgomery's schedule, as you mentioned, the Ravens, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Packers, the Vikings, the Seahawks, and the Giants. I don't see any tough matchups.
Solid. That's solid. I think the Bears will be competitive in a lot of those games too, which is a good thing too.
Yeah.
At 11, James Robinson. I know it's a bad team. I know James Robinson disappointed the last couple weeks, right? He hasn't been great the last couple weeks.
The team as a whole is disappointed.
Yeah, of course. But Robinson, I think, is in a good spot with matchups that aren't really that bad, and we know that he's good regardless of the game script for them. So.
Yeah, he's just going to take on most of that role. Carlos Hyde won't be very involved in passing game too. He's going to get some receptions. So I like James Robinson as a borderline RB1 to RB2 to finish out the year.
Darrell Henderson is in at 12 to round out our RB1s. Henderson, I think, was behind Robinson for us just with Henderson having a bye this week. So just one less game with the 7 weeks that are left. Again, take this into consideration. If you had James, or if you had Darrell Henderson, we're not saying you should trade him for James Robinson. They're both very similar and very close. But if you're a playoff team and you don't need that, you can live with that game, him being out, you should hang on to Henderson.
Yeah, exactly. I agree completely. Like, if you don't need every win, Henderson is a better play, I'd say. But if you are desperate for every single win, you basically need to win out.
Yep.
I would probably trade Henderson for Robinson.
Yeah, that's good there. Mixon at 13. Love his schedule the rest of the way. I think he's still got the Chiefs and the Chargers, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I know he has
I didn't
the
mark
Chargers,
down
so
his schedule.
He does have the Chargers left, so he has to be playing the Chiefs. I would assume AFC, they play the whole division. So that's good for him.
Chiefs is in week 17 too.
Okay.
So that's championship week right
Perfect. There. Yeah, that's a good one for Mixon. I like him. He's at 13, and I think he has a chance to be anywhere between, that 13, 14, or he could be as high as 9, really.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been very efficient, but he gets in the end zone a lot. I'm surprised at how many touchdowns he's actually gotten this season.
Yeah, I know.
But that's really boosting him up the rankings for sure.
Definitely. James Conner at 14 might be a surprise to people that he's this far back, but there is the possibility of Chase Edmonds coming back and some touchdown regression. But again, this is one of the best offenses in the NFL, so he's still on the borderline RB1 category.
I think the main reason for me as well was because Chase Edmonds could be back. If he comes back for the playoffs, then obviously that takes away like pretty much every single bit of James Conner's receiving role.
Yeah.
So the weeks before the playoffs start, he does have the Seahawks, then bye, Bears, Rams. So that's not very easy. It's kind of difficult. And then in week 15 is where I would assume Chase Edmonds comes back.
Right.
And at that point, then he definitely falls more into an RB2 range. So.
Yeah, and the touchdowns are just off the charts. And, it could sustain itself for the entirety of a 17-game season, but it also has a decent chance that it doesn't.
Yeah. Like he's up to 12 now?
Yeah, I think so. I think 11 or 12. He scored
insane.
last week, so he's probably 12 now, yeah. At 15, Saquon Barkley. He's been out of the lineup and hurt for much longer than we thought. I remember when this injury first happened, he was talking about maybe he'd only have a week or two off, and it's been what? Has it been 4 weeks now? I think it's been
4 weeks now, yeah.
So,
I mean, it looked bad when you look at it. Like that ankle was swollen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. I was surprised that he was even saying anything along those lines. So I'm not surprised that he's been out this long, but who knows? Like, it seems like he's gonna be ready for this week. So if he's back, he's on the field, he's gonna get his opportunity. But they got a lot of mouths to feed in New York, to be honest.
When he plays, he's likely going to take on like 90% of the running back touches.
Yeah.
Just because that's what we've seen from Devin Booker. Mm-hmm. They seem to be fine using one running back. So as long as he's healthy, Saquon will be in a good spot. Obviously, the only worry is the health.
Yeah. 16, Elijah Mitchell. Look, I love Elijah Mitchell the rest of the way. Only worry here is just he's going to have to score touchdowns because the reception totals aren't there for him. Even if Jeff Wilson, he had 10 carries, I think, on Monday night. So I'm not really worried about that considering Mitchell had 27 carries. So it doesn't really matter if he gets a portion if Mitchell's still getting 20 plus carries. But he just needs to find the end zone. But there's a great chance for that because the schedule is great.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to use him as the goal line back because I remember in previous years, I think it was Jeff Wilson, the 49ers kept bringing him in for goal line carries only when they'd have, who was the other back they had?
When they had...
Oh, it was the guy who's injured now. Why am I forgetting? Mostert, yes. Mostert kept losing touchdowns because Jeff Wilson would come in and steal them.
I don't know.
So I don't know if it's
see.
going to be the same scenario.
We'll see with Mitchell profiling a fair bit different than Mostert because I find that they're pretty similar backs in terms of size and stature. So we didn't get to find out on Monday night because the 49ers just lay the hammer down.
Yeah.
Tyler had the 49ers on the long form if you watched.
Sharp. But he also has great matchups.
Yes.
Probably I'd
really
say top,
good. That's why I
top
talked about it.
Like it's Jags, Vikings, Seahawks, Bengals, Falcons, Titans, Texans. Texans in that Week 17 championship.
Yeah.
Would love to have Elijah Mitchell.
A lot of games that team can win.
Yeah.
And will be needing wins if they want to make the playoffs too.
For sure.
17, Leonard Fournette. Look, Fournette's got plenty of volume, that's for sure. But I know you mentioned his schedule wasn't great.
It's a tough schedule for the playoffs and the week right before, weeks 14 to 17. It's Bills, Saints, Panthers, Jets. So Jets is easy, but the 3 weeks going up to it, you're going to need maybe to rely on some other guys from Fournette on your team.
Bills and Saints are tough there for sure. And that Saints is the first week of the playoffs, right?
Yeah, Saints is first week of the playoffs.
Some of you that have Fournette could be not playing in that, I can imagine, right?
If you were on pace to get a bye right now and you only have to play Fournette with the Panthers and Jets, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in at, 18?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be back this week.
It sounds like he's going to be back.
It looks like that'll be the case. And Darrell Williams has been really good. I want to make a note of, I think Williams has been good, but I do think that Clyde will just take that role back because it's been a lot of check down work that Clyde can certainly handle. He was a great pass catcher at LSU. He was still been a solid pass catcher when he's been with the Chiefs. And their game plan has changed this year.
Yeah.
Mahomes has been willing to check the ball down, so it's kind of exciting for Clyde the rest of the way.
Yeah, I just really hope they actually use him in that role.
Yes.
They never seem to do it, even when he's healthier earlier in the year.
Yes.
So if they can give him that role, they were giving Darrell Henderson or Darrell Williams, then I could see him being even higher than this. It's just the question mark on if they will.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. And Williams has been really good, to be honest, in his absence. He actually has been. So I don't know if they try to keep his role because, again, he did get
that one
some of
catch
that inside the 5 work.
That one catch on that 40-yard pass from Mahomes was wild.
Imagine getting that kind of ball thrown to your running back, right? It's like a get up and get this one over a corner. So
insane.
But like I said, he was getting inside the 5 work, Williams, when Clyde was healthy. So if that continues, then I think we're in this spot because he's not scoring touchdowns, but he probably is still getting some receptions.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we at? 19 with Antonio Gibson. Coming off the big week. Look, I think there's a chance the schedule's not too bad for him, and he's inside our top 20, so it's not too bad. But I don't think that injury he's completely healed from, if they don't have winning game scripts, what does his usage look like with a guy like J.D. McKissic in the backfield with him? But again, I still think he's an RB2 the rest of the way.
To me, he feels like the same as James Conner if Chase Edmonds didn't get hurt. Mm-hmm. Like he's going to get a lot of touches on the ground, not very many through the air, and he's going to be touchdown reliant.
Yeah, on a worse offense.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. So if he doesn't get a touchdown, I feel like he's probably not going to have a very good game, which is why he's a back-end RB2.
Speaking of running backs that actually do not need touchdowns, Michael Carter. Those reception totals are going to aid in probably a solid finish for him the rest of the way.
As long as, depending on who the quarterback's going to be, I feel like Zach Wilson probably comes back in. Mike White just showed who the true Mike
Flash
White
in a pan. That's all that really
showed
was.
the true Mike White is. And yeah, they're starting to throw the running backs more. Ty Johnson is quite involved because they're throwing to the running backs so often. Much. Michael Carter still gets his fair share, and I like Michael Carter down the stretch.
Yeah, that's a great point from you because we will need to find out how Zach Wilson changes his approach once he steps back in if he's going to be checking the ball down to Carter a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
21, Cordell Patterson. I was told that this was a high ankle sprain. You said he was a limited participant in practice
I think
on
it's
Tuesday.
just an ankle sprain. I don't think it's a high ankle sprain.
So I think he misses this week. I'd be surprised if he turns around and plays on Thursday. So that definitely comes into these rankings here because if there's a chance this just lingers, right?
Yeah, it could very easily linger. And they brought in Wayne Gallman too. I think he played for the first time this week.
Yep.
So, I mean, Patterson is
touches.
still the guy who they're going to use the most in that backfield if he's healthy. He gets involved in the passing game a lot. So, I mean, I like him. They do have some tough matchups, but I feel like he's kind of matchup proof because of his role.
Yes. Yeah, I think this for us this was like the safest spot we could put him just with the concern of the injury. If he miraculously is back on the field on Thursday and then he's practicing in full next week, then I'm going to change my mind here and he might be close to my top 15, right?
Yeah.
22, Javonte Williams. This was a choice between Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. They're splitting carries. I don't think that's going to change. But their matchups the rest of the way are really, really good. And Javonte's we've talked about it enough, has been great. So,
yeah, I mean, they do have the bye this week, but after that, they probably have the easiest schedule of any running back group remaining.
Yeah.
It's Chargers, Chiefs, Lions, Bengals, Raiders, Chargers. It's absolutely beautiful. If one of those two goes down, the other one becomes an instant running back one.
Yeah.
And Javonte Williams, I think the reason we have him over Melvin Gordon is because he is just seems like a better running back. He breaks more tackles. He makes bigger plays.
Been more efficient, even though Gordon's been pretty efficient too.
Like they're both great running backs, but Javonte Williams is just slightly better.
Yeah, Gordon was outside our top 24, but he's right on the cusp, I would say. Because these guys can both be good.
Yeah, if you can buy Melvin Gordon low, people are expecting Javonte Williams to take over the backfield.
Yeah.
You can get him probably pretty cheap, and he would be a nice RB2, RB3.
Yeah, 100%. I would prefer making a trade for Gordon because I don't have to pay nearly as much as I would for Javonte.
Yeah.
This one we'll talk about. Aaron Jones is in at 23. I see this as he's hurt this week and then he's getting 2 bye weeks because it would only make sense for the Packers to sit him the following week, even if he thinks he's ready, because they give him literally 3 more weeks of rest because he'd be off for the second week. They'd be on bye for week 3, and then you get the whole week off leading up to
exactly.
whatever it is, week 16.
I think the same thing because they have the bye week in 3 weeks. Even though Aaron Jones said it'll only be a 1 to 2 week injury, Vikings-Rams bye, it just makes total sense to come back after the bye.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a lot longer of an injury too, though.
So did I. This
4
is
to
the same
6
thing
weeks.
as Cordell Patterson. I was being told this was going to be 4 to 6.
Yeah. So I'm surprised by that. If it was 4 to 6, like if we knew Aaron Jones was going to be out for the entire season, I would think A.J. Dillon's top 10 for sure.
Yes.
Running back rest of season.
Yes. So our thought process here is that if you are a team that is, you're, let's say, what would people be right now? 7-2 or 7-3?
7-3.
7-3, 8-2. If you're in that kind of spot and you've got Aaron Jones, hang on to him. You'll be okay. Get to the playoffs with Aaron Jones on your roster. If you are 500, if you are 4-6, go trade Aaron Jones for a guy like even Michael Carter, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I would do it. You need to focus on winning games. You're not going to make the playoffs with. It doesn't matter if Aaron Jones is on your bench.
You're out.
Yeah, and you're not playing. So.
Yeah, it's all about making it to the playoffs, and then from there, it's just any team can win.
24, last guy in our rankings is Damian Harris. Damian Harris going to be coming back from injury. I would assume this week from a concussion. Ramondre was able to come back from the concussion, but he wasn't. So I think he'll be back. But Ramondre had a great game, And I do think, Bill Belichick doesn't have any affinity to any running back on planet Earth.
He doesn't care who it is. He's just going to give them the ball.
Yes.
We saw Ramondre. I think he put up like 38 fantasy points last week. So
yeah, it was like I think when they drafted Sony Michel, and was LeGarrette Blount still there when they drafted Sony Michel, or was there a running back before that maybe? There was somebody that they drafted that people wanted to be played, and it was just still LeGarrette Blount that was getting the football. So he doesn't care about your fantasy teams. That's the reason that Harris is this far back, because he's got great value. He was 5th, I think, in the NFL in carries inside the 5. So we're talking all those touchdowns,
so many touchdowns,
right?
Yeah.
But if Ramondre's eating into this role because he looked good last week, then we're hindering his finish the rest of the way.
Yeah, and there's a stretch of games too from weeks 13 to 16. It's tough for him. He's got Buffalo, bye week, Indianapolis, Buffalo again. So if you need those games to make it to the final, which everybody will, it might be tough.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now, and I have Damien Harris in, I think, 2 leagues. If I can go get Javonte Williams for him, I'm probably going to do it.
Yeah.
If I can even get Michael Carter, like we talked about earlier, I'm probably going to do it.
If your boss is willing to give you Michael Pittman, would you do that?
Yeah, I would of course do that.
He's not willing to, though.
Guys that are outside, A.J. Dillon, like we said, if Aaron Jones is out for a longer period, then Dillon would definitely be in here. Josh Jacobs, the Kenyon Drake split is a little bit of a nuisance to his finish, so he'd probably be the next guy, I would say.
Yeah.
So
he feels just like a RB3.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Kareem Hunt and Chris
Kareem
Carson?
Hunt, Kareem Hunt, if he wasn't injured, would be on this list. It's just because we don't know when he's going to come back.
Yeah.
When we saw both him and Chubb playing, I was surprised at how good both of them were.
Yeah.
So if you were in a good spot, I like Hunt. I would definitely look to keep him on my team. He's probably going to be back for the playoffs. It's just when is he going to be back is the question.
Yeah. And then Carson, too much up in the air in terms of this injury that is not going to go away. So when does he play? Pete Carroll's always been a really optimistic guy when it comes to injuries too, so he can kind of pull a blanket over your head, make you think that he's back, and he's just really never coming back. Yeah. So I'm kind of out on Carson.
Neck injuries are always scary.
Yeah. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, let us know what we screwed up, let us know what we missed. I don't think we missed anything glaring, but
I don't think
who knows,
so.
maybe we did. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.